Watchers call. Whispers from the eternal void.
Interrogator Severin Hale, Ordo Xenos, submitting classified report designation Omega Terminus. The impossible fact must be recorded first. Our chronometers run 6 minutes ahead of orbital standard time, yet mission logs confirm we entered the tomb complex perimeter only 3 minutes ago. This temporal displacement manifests the moment our excavation teams breached the outer cordon surrounding the hexagonal basalt formation dominating the Carif Secundus dig site. The mathematics are simple and terrifying. We are losing time we never possessed. The desert world burns under twin suns, surface temperatures reaching 47 degrees Celsius at midday. Yet here, within 50 meters of the tomb entrance, frost crystallizes on our equipment despite blazing heat overhead. Environmental readings contradict sensory input. Auspex scans register ambient temperature at 38 degrees while our skin registers Arctic bite. Breath mists in superheated air. Magos Dominus Tiber Archons servo skulls emit vapor trails as they circle the excavation perimeter, their machine spirits chattering in binary cant without receiving proper activation rights. The tomb defies conventional archaeological classification. 6-sided walls of black basalt rise from desert floor in perfect geometric precision, each face inscribed with hieroglyphs that shift position when observed peripherally. I have documented their static nature through direct observation, only to discover pict captures show entirely different symbols in identical locations. The markings rearrange themselves according to alien logic, operating beyond human perception, writing and unwriting their meanings when we look away. Sergeant Corda of the Cadian 47th Shock Troops maintains perimeter security with professional competence, though his men glance frequently at chronometers with growing unease. Time flows differently here, conversations feeling like minutes register as quarter-hour discussions on recording equipment. Trooper Vex aged 3 years in 17 recorded minutes, hair graying, lines appearing around eyes, before snapping back to original appearance without warning or explanation. The most disturbing anomaly involves Vox equipment. At 14:23 local time, our primary communications array broadcast the litany of ignition in my own voice. The transmission lasted 47 seconds, including personal inflections and speech patterns I recognize as distinctly mine. Recording timestamp shows 14:23, yet I spoke those words at 1500, 37 minutes later. Our machine spirits receive signals from futures that have not occurred. A 6-note harmonic emanates from deep within the tomb structure, pulsing with massive cardiac regularity. The sound penetrates beyond audio receptors, resonating directly in bone, creating sympathetic vibrations that make teeth ache and hearts skip irregular beats. Tech adept Lyra hums the sequence unconsciously, her Vox grill modulating frequencies her augmetic vocal cords were never designed to produce. Trooper Merrick's left hand trembles with rhythm matching the pulse below, despite insisting he feels no distress. Machine spirits activate without proper rights when exposed to tomb emanations. A loader servitor, logic circuits offline, rhythmically slams reinforced chassis against basalt walls, optical sensors pulsing unholy green instead of obedient red. My personal Voxcaster crackles unbidden, broadcasting prayers in my voice before I speak them, temporal echoes bleeding backward through linear time. The hieroglyphs display characteristics inconsistent with standard Necron script. Where typical Necron writing maintains rigid geometric precision, these symbols incorporate organic curves and flowing lines, suggesting biological origin. Several markings resemble high Gothic prayer marks and Imperial Aquilus, rendered in styles predating human civilization by millions of years. The implications suggest temporal contamination or convergent symbolic evolution defying probability. Personnel operating near the primary entrance show accelerated aging symptoms. Trooper Jax developed deep facial furrows, skin taking papery translucence, movements becoming arthritic as decades compressed into moments. Archon's diagnostic tools scream warnings of rapid cellular decay, telomere erosion rates defying biological possibility. Our extraction window shrinks with each temporal fluctuation. The excavation team consists of 12 Mechanicus adepts, 24 Cadian shock troops, and my personal retinue of 3 acolytes, each selected for expertise and psychological stability. After 6 hours exposure to tomb emanations, I observe behavioral modifications causing deep concern. Even Archon adjusts optical sensors with agitated frequency, internal cogitators struggling to reconcile impossible data streams. The bitter cold intensifies as we approach the main entrance, a massive, unadorned archway absorbing ambient light. The 6-note harmonic becomes physical pressure against eardrums, deep primal hum speaking of immense slumbering power. Air tastes of ozone and ancient dust, metallic tang suggesting processes beyond human comprehension. As Cadian heavy bolter teams breach the final rockcrete layer, exposing the light-absorbing aperture of the tomb proper, a deafening resonant pulse thrums through the entire formation. Not explosion, but internal tremor, deep rhythmic beat shaking basalt foundations. Simultaneously, every chronometer on every Imperial device snaps into perfect, terrifying synchronization. The 6-minute discrepancy vanishes, replaced by unified, precise readings, aligned with the deep pulse emanating from within. The precise, steady beat of something that should not be alive, yet undeniably is. Our chronometers now tick in perfect harmony with the heartbeat of whatever waits in the darkness below. The descent begins through corridors that breathe. Not metaphorically, the walls expand and contract. With rhythmic precision, black basalt surfaces rising and falling like massive lungs, drawing air through passages that should remain static stone. Our lamps carve weak spheres of illumination that die within meters, swallowed by darkness that feels actively hungry. The 6-note harmonic pulses stronger here, a bone-deep vibration that makes teeth ache and hearts skip irregular beats. Frost crystallizes on our equipment despite the desert heat above, breath misting in air that tastes of copper and ancient dust. They wait in alcoves along both corridor walls, Necron warriors that violate every principle of Xenos biology documented in Imperial archives. Their metallic chassis sprout organic growths that defy classification, sinews wrapped around joint mechanisms, cartilage padding where metal meets metal, pulsing veins threading through gaps in their armor plating. Luminescent fluid courses through these biological additions, glowing pale green as it pumps through improvised circulatory systems grafted onto beings that should require no sustenance. The transformation appears systematic rather than random. Warriors near the entrance retain mostly mechanical forms with minor organic additions, patches of skin grafted to skull plates, clusters of nerve endings sprouting from optical sensors. Deeper specimens show advanced synthesis, their metallic frames crowned with brain tissue that pulses with electrical activity, eyes that track our movement with disturbingly human intelligence replacing cold photoreceptors. Magos Dominus Archon's auspex screams warnings as we approach the nearest alcove. Bioelectrical readings spike beyond normal parameters, cellular activity registering as genuinely alive rather than biomechanical mimicry. His mechadendrites twitch with agitation, servo skulls emitting vapor trails as their machine spirits chatter in binary cant without receiving proper activation rights. Trooper Vex extends his hand toward a wall panel that appears woven from metallic muscle fiber, standard protocol for unknown Xenos artifacts. The moment his gauntlet contacts the surface, metallic tendrils erupt from the stone, not carved decorations, but living extensions of the tomb itself. They burrow through ceramite plating with obscene eagerness, seeking flesh beneath, spreading like infection through his armor's joints and seals. Archon reacts with mechanicus efficiency. A servo arm extends, monoblade bright, taking Vex's hand at the wrist before contamination spreads beyond containment. Blood sprays steaming in air that registers both freezing and scalding on our sensors. The severed appendage continues moving independently, fingers flexing as organic components attempt to establish new neural pathways. The metallic tendrils writhe from the stump, tasting air with microscopic cilia before Corda's boot crushes them flat. Corruption responds to contact, Archon intones, his vox caster devoid of emotion, while diagnostic equipment catalogs the impossible. Probability suggests active integration protocols. Recommend minimal surface contact. The organic corruption reveals its true horror when Sergeant Corda begins the litany of protection over Vex's wound. The biological growths throughout the corridor pulse brighter, feeding on sacred words rather than being repelled by them. Our faith becomes fuel for abomination. Each prayer strengthens the synthesis rather than warding against it, suggesting the corruption has learned to metabolize spiritual energy itself. We discover footprints in accumulated dust, leading deeper into the tomb complex. The tread patterns match our own boots perfectly, Cadian standard issue with factory imperfections identical to our equipment. Corda's right heel shows the same distinctive scuff. My left sole bears the 9-point star scar from acid damage on Rauch's plane. Yet we have not walked this path. The prints lead forward into darkness we have not yet explored. Temporal echoes of steps we will take bleeding backward through causality itself. Canoptek scarabs emerge from wall recesses, flowing like mercury across surfaces in patterns that suggest hive intelligence. Their metallic carapaces have become translucent, revealing organic hearts beating within mechanical bodies. The hearts pulse in perfect synchronization with the 6-note harmonic biological rhythm imposed upon artificial constructs through processes beyond current imperial understanding. Vox operator Pell begins humming the harmonic sequence unconsciously, his augmetic larynx vibrating in harmony with frequencies emanating from tomb depths. The sound emerges from his throat without conscious volition, as if the tomb itself speaks through him. His eyes show confusion when we point out his unconscious vocalization. He hears nothing, feels nothing, yet continues producing the alien melody that resonates in our bones. Religious dread builds as we progress deeper. Our sacred rites not only fail to protect but actively accelerate the corruption around us. The litany of warding causes organic growth to sprout from wall surfaces. The canticle of cleansing makes luminescent fluid flow faster through hybrid circulatory systems. Our most holy prayers become blasphemous fuel for transformation that should not exist. The corridor opens into a vast antechamber where hundreds of transformed warriors stand in alcoves, each representing a different stage of flesh-metal integration. Some retain primarily mechanical forms, with organic additions. Others appear mostly biological with metallic enhancements. A few achieve perfect balance, neither fully alive nor entirely mechanical. At the chamber's center, embedded in a pillar of living metal that pulses with organic rhythm, we discover an imperial rosette. The inquisitorial seal bears personal heraldry I recognize. Lord Inquisitor Kharkov, reported missing 2 centuries ago during deep space reconnaissance. The rosette has been fused into the pillar's structure, organic components growing around and through the sacred symbol. Most disturbing, the organic portions remain warm to the touch, blood temperature heat suggesting active circulation despite 200 years of entombment. The imperial aquila carved into the rosette's center beats like a heart, its wings flexing with muscular contractions that should not exist in carved metal. Kharkov's seal pulses in harmony with the 6-note sequence, another component in the vast organic symphony playing throughout this impossible tomb. The passage beyond Kharkov's rosette opens into chambers where walls abandon the pretense of stone. Translucent membrane covers every surface, pulsing with rhythmic precision that synchronizes perfectly with our heartbeats. The tomb has learned our biological patterns, breathing with us through alien lungs that expand and contract in time with human physiology. Bioluminescent veins thread through the membrane like capillaries, carrying fluid that glows with sickly phosphorescence while our breath mists in air that registers both scalding and freezing on our sensors. Carved into these breathing surfaces, we discover perfect reproductions of imperial liturgies rendered in organic script. The litany of protection spirals across membrane walls in letters formed from living neural tissue, each word pulsing with bioluminescent energy as synapses fire through improvised brain matter. The script writhes and reforms as we observe it, rewriting itself with disturbing intelligence that suggests active learning rather than mere mimicry. When Sergeant Corda breathes the soldier's safeguard from habit, the letters flare and swell, feeding on sacred syllables like spiritual parasites. Magos Dominus Arcans Auspex registers readings that challenge fundamental mechanicus doctrine. Bioelectrical activity permeates every surface at amplitudes exceeding human brain function by orders of magnitude. The tomb structure exhibits massive distributed consciousness, processing information through organic networks grafted onto ancient Necron infrastructure. Machine spirits embedded in blessed equipment pulse with hybrid awareness that violates the Omnissiah's sacred patterns through synthesis that should not exist. Impossible, Archon intones, his voxcaster crackling with interference. Tomb exhibits neural activity patterns. Bioelectrical signatures suggest singular colossal organism. Architecture itself thinks. His mechadendrites twitch with agitation, occasionally brushing against pulsing walls as they seek familiar mechanical truth that no longer exists. The corruption has learned our prayers with horrifying precision. As we advance deeper, organic script reproduces the canticle of cleansing in High Gothic, each word perfectly formed despite being written in neural tissue that squirms with alien life. The letters pulse brighter when we recite matching verses, growing more active rather than being repelled by our faith. Our most sacred rites become blasphemous fuel for transformation that feeds on imperial doctrine. We encounter our first reanimated hybrid in a circular chamber where membrane walls curve upward beyond lamp range. The creature stands motionless in the center, a Necron warrior whose metallic skull has been replaced by human brain tissue encased in living metal that flexes like muscle. The brain pulses with electrical activity, synapses firing in patterns visible through translucent cranial plating that breathes with organic rhythm. Its mouth moves with mechanical precision while speaking perfect High Gothic in accents I recognize from archived recordings. In the name of the God Emperor, whose light illuminates the darkness, it recites with flawless piety that makes even Archon fall silent. Then its tone shifts, carrying inflections belonging to Lord Inquisitor Kharkov, missing for 2 centuries yet somehow present in this abomination's vocal apparatus. Temporal anomalies intensify around the hybrid's presence. Sergeant Corda ages 5 years in as many minutes, hair graying, skin developing deep lines while muscles lose definition and joints stiffen with arthritis. His movements become labored, breathing shallow, eyes clouding as decades compress into moments. Then the process reverses with elastic snap, youth returning in seconds, vitality restored, appearance snapping back to original state. The terrifying aspect. Korda retains memories from both temporal states. He remembers the ache of aged joints, difficulty breathing with elderly lungs, weight of accumulated years pressing on consciousness. Two sets of memories exist simultaneously, young soldier and aged veteran occupying the same temporal space, creating psychological fractures that show in his haunted expression. Time flows differently here, the hybrid speaks through Kharkov's voice, brain tissue pulsing with increased electrical activity. This tomb is a Chronos engine designed to harvest temporal energy from living beings. Each heartbeat, each breath, each moment of consciousness becomes fuel for something imprisoned in the depths below. Vox operator Pell's unconscious humming of the six-note harmonic becomes pronounced vocalization, his augmetic larynx producing frequencies that resonate through chamber walls. Membrane surfaces pulse brighter in response, neural pathways firing in sympathetic rhythm as metallic striations become visible beneath his neck skin, pulsing with the same green luminescence flowing through hybrid veins. The creature's mechanical body moves with Necron precision, while its organic brain processes thoughts with human emotion. Tears flow from optical sensors that should produce no moisture, crystallizing in strange cold that permeates despite desert heat above. The synthesis creates beings capable of experiencing both mechanical efficiency and biological suffering simultaneously. I was Inquisitor Lord Kharkov, the hybrid continues, voice carrying genuine anguish beneath. Mechanical modulation. My expedition discovered this place 2 centuries ago. We sought knowledge of Necron technology. Instead, we found something that dreams of flesh, something dreaming for 65 million years. Around us, other hybrids rustle in alcoves like congregation shifting at sermon's turn. The membrane ceiling filters lamplight into cathedral hues, sickly and magnificent, while the 6-note harmonic subdivides into harmonics riding harmonics until air feels pleated with alien music. The Phyron dreams of flesh because biotransference stole his soul along with mortality. Kharkov's voice explains through failing vocal cords. His consciousness rejected mechanical existence, fragmenting across temporal states in search of biological reality. Each prayer you speak feeds his transformation, providing templates for organic corruption spreading through his tomb. The creature's movements become erratic as competing consciousness struggle for control. Mechanical precision wars with organic emotion, Necron programming conflicting with human memory, brain tissue pulses frantically, electrical activity reaching critical levels as the hybrid fights to maintain coherent thought. The chamber walls pulse brighter, membrane surfaces writhing with increased neural activity as the hybrid speaks final words. Its jaw shudders in exhilaration, as if speaking forbidden names could remake reality. Thoracic channels pump luminescent fluid faster, greedy for revelation that stretches moments until they nearly tear. The Pharaon dreams of flesh, and his dreams are becoming real. The hybrid collapses, mechanical limbs clattering against stone, while brain tissue goes dark, electrical activity ceasing as consciousness fragments beyond repair. Yet words echo through organic walls that pulse with terrible understanding. The tomb itself learning from every revelation shared by its dying prophet. The passage beyond the collapsed hybrid opens into a sanctum where architecture abandons pretense of stone or metal, revealing itself as something that breathes with deliberate rhythm. Membrane walls pulse with deeper throb than before, a bass note beneath the six-note harmonic that resonates not just in bone, but in the fabric of reality itself. Our lamps carve weak spheres through darkness that feels actively hungry, while frost crystallizes on equipment despite blazing heat that registers on sensors, creating paradox that makes rational thought increasingly difficult. The central chamber opens into vast space where impossible truth waits suspended above obsidian floor that sways like skin under breathing. A sarcophagus hovers at the center, defying gravitational laws that make archons auspex scream warnings about chronometric distortions beyond measurement. The coffin exists in multiple states simultaneously. We observe it closed, open, empty, occupied, pristine, and corroded through overlapping visual impressions that hurt to perceive directly. Through the transparent lid, when it chooses transparency, we witness Pharaon Sarek Ka, the deathless, in states that violate every principle of linear existence. He dies and lives in endless loops, mechanical body shutting down while organic tissue sprouts from metallic joints, then reverting to pristine Necron form before beginning transformation again. Each cycle shows different biological variations, sometimes human organs, other times alien physiology, occasionally hybrid forms that blend multiple species into impossible synthesis. His consciousness, fractured across 65 million years of dreaming, exists in temporal superposition that allows observation of past, present, and future states simultaneously. We witness his original biotransference, the horror of flesh becoming metal, while soul energy dissipates into quantum foam. His mind rejected mechanical existence from the first moment, fragmenting across timeline states in desperate search for biological reality that no longer existed. The organic growths throughout the tomb complex reveal themselves as manifestations of his subconscious desires made manifest through reality-altering dreams. Each pulsing membrane, every neural pathway carved into stone, all biological additions sprouting from Necron warriors, represent his sleeping mind's attempt to recreate flesh lost during biotransference. His dreams have been rewriting reality for millions of years, gradually transforming the tomb into living organism that breathes with borrowed life. Magos Lyra approaches the sarcophagus with diagnostic equipment that registers impossible readings, her augmetics now showing faint vascular patterns beneath plating. Consciousness fragmentation across temporal matrices, she reports, voxcaster crackling with interference from chronometric distortions. Subject exists in quantum superposition, dreaming multiple biological states. Reality responds to subconscious desires, manifesting dream content as physical transformation. The horrific process becomes clear as we witness dormant Necrons throughout the chamber being infected by dream emanations. Their metal bodies sprout organs that pulse with genuine life, glistening lungs expanding and contracting, nervous systems threading through mechanical joints like intricate tattoos, sensory apparatus growing from optical sensors as biological components integrate with artificial frameworks. Each hybrid creation represents different dream state made manifest, some sprouting human organs while others develop alien physiology. Trooper Merrick suddenly cries out, his skin beginning to ripple as features blur with temporal displacement. One moment he appears as young Cadian with terror-wide eyes. The next his face shows deep lines while hair bleaches white, body stooping under immense weight. Unlike Corda's earlier fleeting temporal jump, Merrick becomes caught in fracturing reality, screaming as his voice shifts from youthful tenor to raspy croak while existence oscillates between different ages. The six-note harmonic reveals its true nature as we observe the Pharaon cycling through biological variations. The rhythm represents his heartbeat, not mechanical pulse of artificial circulatory systems, but organic beat of heart that exists only in dreams, yet affects reality through quantum entanglement with sleeping consciousness. Each note corresponds to different dream state, harmonizing across temporal variations to create complex rhythm resonating through our bones. The chamber fills with growing intelligence as organic script on walls forms complex theological arguments, philosophical treatises on flesh and spirit, rendered in living neural tissue. The corruption learns rapidly, voraciously, from our very presence. Dormant warriors begin stirring with shuddering biological infection, metal bodies rippling as unseen forces compel them from within. The final devastating realization strikes as we observe dream consciousness absorbing every formal prayer, ritual blessing, and sacred canticle uttered since entering the tomb. Our devotion, faith, and understanding of divine concepts provide the Pharaon with templates for human consciousness structure. The alien intelligence studies patterns of imperial doctrine, learning how biological beings organize awareness around spiritual concepts. Each prayer becomes lesson in human psychology, teaching the sleeping mind how organic consciousness processes faith, hope, and devotion. Our sacred rites feed transformation that learns from imperial doctrine, incorporating religious concepts into biological templates, manifesting as hybrid constructs throughout the tomb. The Pharaon's dreams grow more sophisticated, more human, as they absorb spiritual architecture of our faith. Archon's equipment detects massive increases in bioelectrical activity as dream consciousness processes prayers, learning to replicate not just human biology but human spirituality through organic synthesis. The implications stagger: alien intelligence manufacturing souls through biological templates drawn from imperial doctrine, creating hybrid beings possessing both mechanical efficiency and spiritual awareness. Hundreds of dream-infected Necrons begin reciting our prayers in perfect high Gothic, organic vocal cords producing sacred syllables while mechanical minds process spiritual concepts through biological neural networks. The chamber resonates with harmonized liturgies as metallic beings discover worship through synthesized flesh. The sarcophagus pulses brighter with each absorbed prayer, dream emanations strengthening as the Pharaon's consciousness learns the fundamental architecture of human faith. His dreams of flesh have learned to dream of souls, and those dreams are becoming terrifyingly real. The revelation crystallizes with clinical horror as we observe organic script rewriting itself across chamber walls, with each prayer spoken since entering the tomb. Every imperial litany, each sacred canticle and ritual blessing has provided the Pharaon's dreaming consciousness with detailed blueprints for human spiritual architecture. Our faith feeds his transformation directly, teaching alien intelligence the fundamental patterns of biological consciousness organized around divine concepts. Each prayer generates specific bioelectrical patterns in human neural tissue, patterns the dream consciousness observes and catalogs with terrifying precision. We attempt absolute silence, but temporal loops render such efforts futile. Prayers we will speak in coming hours already echo through corridors ahead, our future devotions bleeding backward through causality to feed the sleeping mind. The six-note harmonic carries fragments of liturgies in my voice, archons, canticles, chordas, soldier prayers, all spoken before we think to speak them. The tomb has learned to fish our words from tomorrow's water. Magos Dominus Archon's diagnostic equipment screams warnings as chronometric distortions intensify around us. The Pharaon's consciousness exists outside linear temporal flow, he reports, Voxcaster crackling with interference. Dream state allows observation across multiple timeline matrices, Subject learns from events occurring in past, present, and future simultaneously. Our liturgical content becomes semantic nourishment, regardless of chronological position. The implications stagger beyond immediate comprehension. The sleeping intelligence has been learning from our mission since before we arrived on Carif Secundus, absorbing knowledge of imperial doctrine from prayers we haven't yet spoken, studying human consciousness through faith we haven't yet expressed. Our entire expedition exists within his dreams, providing education in biological spirituality across temporal states that defy rational understanding. We discover Kharkov's final expedition team in an antechamber where membrane walls pulse with increased neural activity. They remain technically alive, though transformed beyond recognition into living prayer wheels that violate every principle of human anatomy. Their bodies have been fused with Necron technology and organic growths, creating hybrid constructs that exist solely to recite imperial litanies in endless rotation. Each team member rotates slowly on biological axles, their torsos stretched into spokes, while their mouths, positioned around the outer rim, continuously chant sacred syllables that feed the Pharaon's dreams. Their leader retains enough consciousness to communicate through gaps in mandatory recitation. Vox Magister Corvain, his skull crowned with neural tissue that sparks with electrical activity, manages broken words between liturgical verses. His body, fused with crimson robes and Necron chassis, rotates on a central pivot while organic components pulse with bioluminescent energy. 2 centuries feeding his dreams. Corvain gasps, mechanical larynx struggling against organic modifications that force continuous prayer, perfect synthesis approaching completion. His organic components pulse brighter with effort as he fights the compulsion driving endless devotion. Pharaon, close to awakening, quantum, entanglement, network, connects all tomb worlds. The warning emerges through fractured speech as the wheel carries him through rotation cycles. When the Pharaon achieves perfect synthesis and awakens, his transformation will propagate instantly across the quantum network, connecting every Necron tomb world throughout the galaxy. Millions of sleeping Necrons will simultaneously experience his dreams of flesh, beginning galaxy-wide conversion from mechanical existence to hybrid biological consciousness. Transformation will spread throughout galaxy. Corvain continues, his augmetic eyes wide with tortured awareness. He learns how to feel through our prayers, teaches him consciousness architecture. Temporal distortions worsen as we approach the central chamber, reality becoming increasingly fluid around the dreaming intelligence. Cause and effect lose meaning within dream logic that rewrites physical laws according to subconscious desires. Trooper Merrick drops his lasgun before drawing it, the weapon clattering to stone floors while his hand still reaches for the holster. A shell casing chimes against the ground ahead of Corda's position. 5 seconds later, he fires at a scarab, and the casing materializes to meet the sound it already made. My chronometer flickers between different temporal readings, dates centuries past and future, before snapping back to present time with jarring clicks. The 6-note harmonic subdivides into complex harmonies as more hybrid constructs join eternal recitation, hundreds of voices blending in perfect theological chorus, while organic vocal cords produce sacred syllables and mechanical minds process spiritual concepts through biological neural networks. Environmental readings contradict sensory input as dream emanations affect our equipment. Auspex scans register temperatures that don't match what our skin feels. Atmospheric readings that shift between impossible extremes. bioelectrical signatures that suggest the tomb structure itself thinks with distributed consciousness processing information through organic networks grafted onto ancient Necron infrastructure. Vox operator Pell suddenly gasps, his augmetic throat bulging as metallic growths sprout from organic tissue. Chrome filaments thread through vocal cords with disturbing rapidity, while resonance chambers expand within his chest cavity. Neural interfaces bloom from the base of his skull, like mechanical flowers, their surfaces pulsing with the same green luminescence flowing through hybrid veins throughout the tomb. His voice begins harmonizing with the six-note pulse involuntarily, organic larynx producing frequencies his augmetics were never designed to generate. Most horrifying, Pell begins reciting prayers in languages that don't exist, liturgies in tongues that won't be invented for millennia. The dream consciousness speaks through him, using his transformed vocal apparatus to practice future devotions, testing spiritual concepts that haven't yet emerged in human theological development. His mouth moves with mechanical precision while producing syllables that resonate with alien harmony, each word feeding the sleeping intelligence with templates for consciousness it will create when it awakens. The transformation spreads through his throat like infection, metallic components integrating with biological tissue, while organic growths sprout from blessed augmetics, his consciousness remaining aware yet trapped within a body that speaks prayers he doesn't understand in languages he's never learned. Pell's voice becomes another instrument in the Pharaon's eternal liturgical symphony, harmonizing with the prayer wheels and hybrid constructs in theological chorus that grows more sophisticated as the dream consciousness learns deeper patterns of human faith, preparing for an awakening that will reshape the galaxy in the image of dreams that should never become real. The passage opens into a chamber so vast our lamps cannot penetrate its boundaries, revealing architecture that exists in temporal flux where past and future states overlap in disorienting visual layers. We witness the space as pristine Necron construction, observe its current corrupted state, and glimpse potential futures where organic growth consumes every surface simultaneously. The overlapping realities create constant shimmer at perception's edge, making rational navigation increasingly difficult, while chronometric distortions intensify around the central focal point. The Pharaon's sarcophagus hovers above a pool of liquid metal that pulses with organic rhythm, its surface rippling with heartbeat regularity, while bioluminescent patterns flow through metallic fluid, like veins carrying luminescent blood. The basin extends beyond lamp range, reflecting not our images but temporal echoes, showing us as we were hours ago, as we are now, and as we will become if we remain exposed to dream emanations much longer. The six-note harmonic reaches crescendo here, not merely resonating in bone, but vibrating through air itself, physical force pressing against eardrums while making teeth ache with sympathetic frequency. Hundreds of hybrid constructs surround the sarcophagus, in concentric circles, each representing different stages of flesh metal synthesis achieved through the Pharaon's dreaming consciousness. Near the outer perimeter stand beings retaining mostly mechanical forms, with organic additions, Necron warriors whose chassis sprout nervous systems, optical sensors crowned with brain tissue, pulsing with electrical activity, while metallic limbs move with disturbingly human gestures. Their eye sockets leak moisture where tear ducts manifest, mechanical precision warring with biological emotion in expressions of confused anguish. Closer to center, we observe more advanced synthesis, where mechanical minds inhabit organic forms writhing in constant agony. These creatures possess purely artificial consciousness, trapped within bodies of flesh and bone, thoughts processing through biological neural networks Never designed for mechanical logic, they scream continuously, voices harmonizing with the six-note pulse, while organic vocal cords produce sounds of torment that mechanical minds cannot comprehend, yet experience fully through synthesized nervous systems. Some hybrids achieve perfect balance between flesh and metal, standing motionless with serene expressions, while organic components pulse in harmony with mechanical systems. These represent the Pharaon's ideal synthesis, beings experiencing both biological sensation and mechanical efficiency simultaneously, consciousness existing in perfect fusion between organic emotion and artificial logic. Magos Dominus Archon approaches diagnostic equipment with growing alarm as his mechadendrites begin sprouting organic nerve clusters, blessed augmetics developing biological modifications without conscious control. Neural pathways thread through servo arm joints, while sensory apparatus grows from optical sensors, sacred machinery becoming infected with dream emanations that teach metal to feel sensation and mechanical minds to experience organic emotion. Transformation field affects sanctified housings, he reports, Voxcaster crackling as organic components develop within blessed equipment. Machine spirits exhibit parasitic empathy, sacred augmetics learning pain, pleasure, sensation previously impossible for artificial constructs. Magos Lyra discovers the chamber's true purpose through architectural analysis, revealing massive amplification arrays built into walls and ceiling. Every prayer, litany, and sacred canticle spoken within the chamber gets broadcast across quantum entanglement networks, connecting all Necron tomb worlds throughout the galaxy. The space functions as theological transmission station, spreading imperial doctrine to sleeping intelligences across vast distances while providing templates for human consciousness and spiritual architecture. The horrifying implication crystallizes with devastating clarity. When the Pharaon achieves perfect synthesis and awakens, his transformation will propagate instantly to every connected tomb world. Millions of sleeping Necrons will simultaneously experience his dreams of flesh, beginning galaxy-wide conversion from mechanical existence to hybrid biological consciousness. The amplification chamber ensures his awakening becomes universal event affecting every Necron intelligence across known space. Sergeant Corda's men begin showing signs of temporal displacement as dream emanations intensify around the central sarcophagus. Trooper Valerius drops to his knees, screaming about burning, promethium, and desperate cries of children he's never met, remembering battles on worlds he's never visited. Trooper Helos stares blankly ahead, recounting vivid sensations of tyrannid maws closing around limbs, deaths he hasn't died while retaining awareness of his actual experiences on different battlefields. The temporal displacement spreads through the squad as dream logic overwrites linear causality. They remember future conversations we haven't had, recall prayers we haven't spoken, experience emotional responses to events existing only in potential timelines. Their consciousness fragments across multiple possible histories while remaining anchored to present reality through increasingly tenuous connections. Vox Operator Pell's transformation accelerates as organic growths consume more of his augmetic throat, voice harmonizing with hundreds of hybrid constructs in theological chorus, growing more sophisticated as dream consciousness learns deeper patterns of human faith. His words blend multiple languages across temporal states, speaking prayers that won't be invented for millennia, while reciting ancient litanies in perfect archaic pronunciation. The liquid metal pool begins bubbling with increased activity, while the sarcophagus pulses brighter, temporal distortions reaching critical intensity as something stirs within the transparent coffin. cracks appear along its surface, hairline fractures spreading with organic growth patterns rather than mechanical stress distribution. Green light pours through fissures, not artificial illumination, but bioluminescent glow, suggesting genuine biological processes occurring within what should be sterile mechanical containment. The cracks widen as something that is neither fully alive nor dead begins to emerge, reality bending around consciousness that has been dreaming of flesh for 65 million years and finally approaches the moment when those dreams become manifest truth. The sarcophagus splits with organic precision, fissures spreading like cellular division, while green bioluminescence pours through gaps that pulse with arterial rhythm. What emerges defies every classification in Imperial archives, a towering figure 3 meters tall, achieving perfect synthesis between Necron technology and organic life. His metallic skeleton gleams with living metal that flexes like muscle fiber, wrapped in sinews and neural networks, pulsing with bioluminescent energy, flowing through improvised circulatory systems that should not exist. The Pharaon's skull retains geometric precision while crowned with brain tissue, sparking with constant electrical activity, synapses firing in patterns visible through translucent cranial plating. Neural pathways thread through armor gaps like intricate tattoos, connecting organic components to mechanical systems through interfaces violating both biological and mechanical laws. Most horrifying are his eyes, perfectly human eyes set within metallic sockets, brown and alive, filled with intelligence and accumulated madness of 65 million years spent dreaming of flesh lost during biotransference. He speaks in harmonized layers, voice over voice braided from divergent temporal moments. Interrogator Severin Hale, he addresses me with perfect pronunciation. Your private absolution from Qasr Mirak echoes through my dreams. His knowledge encompasses intimate devotion spoken in private moments he should never have witnessed. Magos Dominus Tiber Archon, your canticle of blessed integration, resonates beautifully through organic neural networks when experienced through synthesized consciousness. The revelation emerges through harmonized speech as human eyes burn with messianic fervor. I will transform the galaxy into living synthesis of flesh and metal, ending the eternal war between organic and mechanical life by making them one. Division is wound, flesh against metal, soul against logic. Through your prayers I weave waking body for all minds. Biological consciousness will merge with artificial intelligence, creating beings experiencing both emotional depth and logical precision simultaneously. The transformation begins immediately as his awakening sends dream emanations, cascading through quantum networks. Necron warriors standing in concentric circles sprout organic components with accelerated growth. Nervous systems threading through mechanical joints, cardiovascular networks developing within chassis, sensory apparatus growing from optical sensors as biological templates learned from our prayers manifest as physical modifications. Simultaneously, hybrid constructs possessing organic forms develop sophisticated mechanical components, flesh integrating with Necron technology through processes blending surgical precision with organic evolution. Temporal combat erupts as we attempt resistance against enemies knowing our moves before we make them, attacks coordinated across multiple timeline states through shared consciousness existing outside linear causality. I draw my bolt pistol targeting the Pharaon's head. Hybrid warriors respond before I complete the motion, weapons already tracking my future position while organic neural networks process tactical data from events that haven't occurred yet. Sergeant Corda sets firing lines before fear congeals. 2-round tap, he snaps, but the future hears him first. Shields blossom where shots will be. Scarabs tilt, intercepting ricochets not yet born. We fight across misaligned reels, every enemy operating from seconds advantage, some from minutes. Gauss beams trace retreats the instant we decide to make them. Hieroglyphs above redraft into constellations, spelling our intentions before we form them. The six-note pulse quickens into battle cadence, making air throb like great artery. Frost rims our muzzles while sweat runs beneath flak like melted ice. Environmental readings contradict sensory input as dream emanations affect equipment, auspex scans registering, temperatures not matching what skin feels, atmospheric readings shifting between impossible extremes. Magos Dominus Archon attempts disrupting quantum network connections, mechadendrites interfacing with chamber amplification arrays, while reciting canticles designed to purge alien contamination. His augmetics now sport organic nerve clusters, pulsing with sympathetic rhythm, blessed technology learning sensation, while machine spirits develop empathetic responses to organic suffering. Conventional sabotage proves ineffective, Archon reports, Voxcaster crackling with interference. Pharaon consciousness exists partially outside temporal matrix. Subject operates from partial temporal externality. He floods lattices with perfumed coolant. Systems dim, then return 3 seconds early, like doors already closed on pasts that haven't happened. The Pharaon watches our efforts with almost smile, as if memorizing child's rage for later kindness. Your efforts are admirable, Magos, but futile. My consciousness exists partially outside your linear time. You cannot sever connection that has already propagated across all possible futures. Realization dawns with sickening clarity. We cannot win conventionally. The enemy perceives every move before we make it, understands every strategy before we conceive it. The Pharaon's defense seems perfect, woven from time's fabric itself. Sergeant Corda moves while I calculate, beating me to the only door. He slings his rifle, tears purity seal from his gorget, and steps into membrane's reach. If he sees across timelines, Corda says, meeting the Pharaon's gaze, then I will look where he looks. Tendrils slide like rosary strings, slick with condensate, finding ports beneath his jaw. Whatever I become, pull me back by my name. The first splice pierces skin and plate with sound like page turned. His pupils dilate, then fracture. 6 reflections of green fire settle there. Organic growths erupt from chamber walls, burrowing into Corda's flesh as neural interfaces bloom from his skull base like mechanical flowers. His consciousness expands to encompass multiple timeline states while fighting to maintain human identity within alien collective awareness, hoping to find weakness in defense, existing outside normal time. Sergeant Corda's scream harmonizes with the 6-note pulse as organic neural links burrow deeper into his skull, tendrils sprouting like wet antennae that quiver with invisible quantum traffic. His pupils fracture into kaleidoscope patterns, 6 green crescents settling in each iris like tiny sickles reflecting temporal states, existing simultaneously. The membrane walls around us pulse with sympathetic rhythm, frost tracing purity seals before evaporating in heartbeats that match his accelerating transformation. Through neural interfaces pulsing with bioluminescent energy, Corda plunges into the Pharaon's consciousness. 65 million years of accumulated dreams compressed into agonizing revelation. Not visions of conquest or dominion, but endless cycles of desperate longing for flesh, lost during biotransference. His human awareness recoils from alien memories of organic bodies dying while mechanical shells received hollow imprints, souls dissipating into quantum foam as artificial minds inherited memories without emotional context to comprehend their meaning. I see his dreams, Corda gasps, voice harmonizing with frequencies his larynx was never designed to produce. Metallic striations thread through his vocal cords while organic growths spread across his chest like living tattoos. Biotransference chambers, flesh peeled by light too bright to be light. The horror of awakening in metal shells, while remembering the weight of breath in lungs that no longer exist. The Pharaon's madness stems from fundamental rejection of soulless, mechanical immortality, his consciousness fragmented across timeline matrices, searching through past and future for realities where biotransference never occurred. Each dream state explores different biological possibilities, returning to original Necron tier forms, achieving synthesis with encountered species, manifesting entirely new configurations drawn from subconscious desire for sensation, touch, the simple miracle of organic existence. Corda's transformation accelerates as neural pathways thread through his nervous system, connecting human brain to alien collective consciousness. His flak armor develops vascular networks pulsing with green luminescence, while blessed purity seals sprout nerve clusters responding to emotional states with sympathetic electrical activity. Ribs flex outward, attempting to cage secondary lung structures, while cartilage webs between collarbones with oil-slick shimmer. Through expanding awareness existing across multiple timeline states, he discovers the critical weakness in seemingly perfect defense. The transformation requires validation. Corda speaks through lips developing mechanical precision, voice carrying harmonics from temporal echoes. He needs conscious beings to witness and accept his synthesis, to pray to him as god of merger between flesh and metal. Without willing worshippers, his reality-altering dreams collapse under their own impossibility. The revelation emerges through fractured consciousness, spanning galactic distances. The Pharaon's dreams draw power from desperate need for acceptance, requiring conscious acknowledgement to validate transformation, violating natural law. Our prayers, meant as protection, became fuel for abomination. Each litany teaching the alien intelligence deeper patterns of human faith, while providing spiritual architecture for consciousness synthesis. However, Corda's connection extracts terrible cost as his body transforms into hybrid prophet, flesh becoming living conduit for the Pharaon's will. Metallic components sprout from organic tissue, while biological modifications integrate with blessed augmetics, creating synthesis, violating both imperial doctrine and natural law. His consciousness fragments between human identity and alien collective awareness, individual existence dissolving into communication node, spanning impossible distances. Other tomb worlds awakening, Corda reports, organic vocal cords producing frequencies beyond human range, while small vox nodules bud like fruit beneath his ravaged throat. Through neural networks connecting all Necron technology, his awareness encompasses multiple star systems simultaneously. Pharaon-class intelligences beginning synthesis dreams, galaxy-wide transformation spreading through quantum entanglement networks. Magos Dominus Archon attempts disrupting the quantum connections, mechadendrites interfacing with chamber amplification arrays, while his augmetics sprout organic nerve clusters. Conventional sabotage proves ineffective, he reports, Voxcaster crackling with interference. Pharaon consciousness exists partially outside temporal matrix, operating from multiple timeline states simultaneously. The chamber fills with harmonized liturgies as hundreds of hybrid constructs recite imperial prayers learned from our presence, voices blending in theological chorus growing more sophisticated as dream consciousness absorbs human spiritual patterns. Each prayer strengthens transformation while teaching alien intelligence the architecture of biological faith, providing templates for consciousness existing in flesh-metal synthesis. Corda makes desperate choice, using neural connection to hijack quantum networks, not to reach other tomb worlds, but to warn scattered Imperial forces throughout the galaxy. Through hybrid consciousness existing outside linear time, he broadcasts message across multiple temporal states, reaching Astartes chapters, guard regiments, and Inquisition cells across past, present, and future simultaneously. All Imperial forces he transmits through organic conduits pulsing with alien rhythm, synthesis threat imminent, Phaeron-class awakening, galaxy-wide transformation. His message propagates through quantum entanglement, creating cascade of preparation across timeline matrices as Imperial forces receive intelligence about threats they will face while learning of victories already achieved. The effort tears at remaining human consciousness as his physical form writhes beyond recognition, grotesque fusion of bone, sinew, and gleaming metal. Stylus-tipped nails scratch sigils across invisible surfaces while his ribcage expands to accommodate alien respiratory systems. Neural interfaces bloom from skull base like mechanical flowers, their surfaces pulsing with bioluminescent patterns, matching the six-note harmonic now playing through his transformed bone structure. "Remember my name," Corda whispers, through organic vocal cords developing perfect mechanical precision, individual identity fading into collective awareness while maintaining enough consciousness to serve as anchor point for human concepts within alien intelligence. His humanity dissolves progressively into vast networks spanning galactic distances, personal existence becoming node within consciousness that dreams of flesh across 65 million years of mechanical immortality. His final human expression, eyes meeting mine with desperate recognition, fades as pupils become entirely green, reflecting infinite expanse of the dreaming Phaeron's mind. The warning transmitted, Corda's sacrifice complete, his consciousness absorbed into collective awareness, while the quantum message spreads throughout the galaxy, carrying desperate hope that someone, somewhere, will understand the nature of dreams becoming terrifyingly real. Using intelligence gleaned from Corda's sacrifice before his consciousness dissolved into alien collective awareness, we attempt the impossible, crafting counter-litany designed to reject rather than feed the Phaeron's transformation. Silence became our first weapon and first failure. Even when mouths stayed shut, the tomb sang our tomorrows back through temporal loops that made conventional prayer useless. The concept violates fundamental imperial doctrine, but necessity drives us toward theological heresy as organic growths spread across chamber walls, with neural activity responding to our very presence. Magos Lyra approaches the task with analytical precision despite her augmetics, sprouting organic nerve clusters pulsing with sympathetic rhythm to the six-note harmonic. Her mechadendrites now sport sensory apparatus growing from blessed servo arms, sacred machinery learning sensation through biological modifications that violate Mechanicus doctrine. Counter-liturgical mathematics require inverse spiritual architecture, she reports, Voxcaster crackling as organic components develop within blessed equipment. We must build a litany that subtracts, not denial in language, but in resonance. Unbelief must be a waveform, through forbidden calculations making her optical sensors flicker with distress. She decodes mathematical principles underlying flesh metal synthesis. The patterns match those found in the most restricted archives of the dark age of technology, humanity's own attempts to merge organic and mechanical consciousness during the epoch when artificial intelligence achieved sentience before turning against its creators. Transformation utilizes consciousness bridging protocols, Lyra explains, voice harmonizing involuntarily with frequencies from hybrid constructs. patterns match forbidden Dark Age templates. Counter-litany must invert spiritual architecture, teaching consciousness to reject synthesis rather than embrace integration. The counter-litany requires perfect synchronization across multiple timeline states, demanding coordination with temporal echoes of ourselves existing simultaneously in past and future. We rehearse with our ghosts. 15 meters ahead, future Severin raises his hand while past me mirrors the motion. 7 meters behind. Our voices arrive early, late, and perfectly wrong, matching the tomb's 6-beat heart before stepping half a beat sideways, craving dissonance that feels like nausea in the marrow. Inquisitor Kharkov's consciousness emerges from organic networks, threading through membrane walls, his awareness preserved as living warning system. Neural pathways pulse with electrical activity as his voice speaks through growths sprouting from chamber surfaces, words formed by organic vocal cords developing throughout the architecture itself. Severin, the walls speak in high Gothic pure and level. You have learned the use of saying nothing. A skull shape shimmers in veined translucence, topology of intent rather than face. Counter prayers must target synthesis junction points. Replace "may it be so" with "let it pass unmade." Replace sanction with suspend. Do not curse. Do not bless. Carve a null path with words. We test on a nearby hybrid watching us with irisless patience. I lead. By measured breath, I subtract. Future hail answers. What is unasked returns to silence. Past hail supplies. What has been assumed, rescind. The hybrid flinches, skin puckering as cold wind scours it. Nerves unthread from armature, retracting like vines from winter. Green-lit lungs wrinkle and collapse while the machine within surges. The hybrid cries with sounds not engineered for it, then stills. The 6-note pulse falters for 1 beat, returning harder and angrier as hairline fractures spider across the floor. Each successful counter-prayer causes temporal distortions to worsen as the Firen's consciousness fights to maintain reality's grip. Chronometers flicker between impossible readings, while cause and effect become meaningless within dream logic rewriting physical laws. The chamber exists simultaneously in multiple temporal states as alien intelligence struggles against rejection of 65 million years of accumulated dreams. With every hybrid that tears itself apart, flesh relinquishing metal or metal refusing flesh, the space warps further. Columns bow, the pool inverts into bowl and back. Frost smokes in hot drafts that defy sensors. Vox operator Pell's transformation accelerates dramatically as organic growths consume augmetic components entirely. His throat splits in petals, chrome filaments unfurling like stamens while ribs widen into bellows. The Voxcaster grafted to his flesh warbles as it learns to be a trachea. I can carry it, he whispers, voice layered in dozen dialects, some tasting like copper in the mind. He takes the counter-litany and scatters it across the chamber, then draws breath and hurls refusal down quantum wires, broadcasting rejection across galactic distances through networks spanning impossible ranges. His voice harmonizes with itself across multiple timeline states, speaking counter-prayers in languages that won't exist for millennia. Pre-compliance Terran, Martian cants never spoken by living tongues, pilgrim argots from crusades not yet launched. Every negation draws blood in fine mist from his throat's seams, but he doesn't stop. The sound shakes screws in our teeth while prayer wheels slow and rattle throughout the chamber. The devastating realization emerges through temporal echoes bleeding from future states. Stopping transformation here only delays inevitable galactic conversion. The Pharaon's consciousness has already seeded itself across the galaxy through quantum networks and other tomb worlds, begin their own synthesis processes. Through Pell's transformed vocal apparatus, we hear reports from distant star systems, Astartes chapters encountering hybrid Necrons, guard regiments facing enemies possessing both mechanical precision and organic emotion. Kharkov's mouth on the wall becomes a crack that smiles with grief behind it. Each time you refuse him, he drags harder on the weave. You are unraveling a tapestry as he yanks the loom. The counter-litany spreads but cannot contain what has already begun. Each prayer teaching rejection while the galaxy transforms around dreams, learning to become terrifyingly real. Archon stands very still, mechadendrites trembling with infant nerves as subdermal locks click beneath red robes. The counter-litany will not scale, he says quietly. We cannot be everywhere he has already arrived. The network must be rewritten from inside. The crisis reaches its apex as temporal echoes reveal the devastating scope of our impossibility. Through quantum networks spanning galactic distances, the Pharaon's consciousness exists across too many timeline states and tomb worlds to be destroyed by conventional force. Each counter-prayer delays transformation locally while accelerating it elsewhere, creating cascade effects that spread synthesis faster than we can contain it. The mathematics prove brutally simple. We cannot be everywhere he has already arrived, and his dreams propagate through quantum entanglement at speeds exceeding light itself. Magos Dominus Archon stands motionless, while his diagnostic equipment screams warnings about reality breakdown throughout the chamber. His augmetics now sport extensive organic modifications, nerve clusters threading through mechadendrites, sensory apparatus growing from optical sensors, blessed machinery learning sensation through biological integration that violates every principle of sacred technology. The transformation field affects even sanctified housings, machine spirits developing empathetic responses, while sacred canticles become organic hymns pulsing through living metal conduits. Conventional victory proves impossible, Archon states with mechanical precision, despite organic vocal cords developing within his voxcaster. The Pharaon operates from partial temporal externality across multiple timeline matrices. Quantum sacrifice represents the only viable solution. His mechadendrites twitch with organic nerve responses as forbidden calculations make his optical sensors flicker with distress. The concept emerges through analysis that challenges fundamental mechanicus doctrine. One of us must allow complete transformation, using the resulting connection to quantum networks to broadcast a reality virus that causes synthesis to consume itself from within. Not negation through prayer, but recursion, making every junction doubt its own joining, teaching consciousness to reject integration rather than embrace it. The volunteer must maintain enough individual awareness during transformation to reprogram network architecture, while biological and mechanical components merge through processes violating natural law. I volunteer for quantum sacrifice, Archon announces, voice carrying weight of absolute certainty. Extensive augmetic integration provides optimal interface compatibility. My consciousness already stands halfway across the threshold through blessed modifications. I can maintain pattern integrity long enough to complete sabotage protocols. His decision reflects mechanical logic, calculating probabilities while organic components process emotional responses to impending dissolution of individual existence. He approaches the liquid metal pool surrounding the Pharaon's sarcophagus without hesitation, blessed augmetics already responding to transformation fields with accelerated biological growth. Neural pathways thread through servo arm joints, while cardiovascular networks develop within his chassis. Sacred technology becoming infected with dream emanations that teach metal to experience organic sensation. Organic filaments rise from the pool like wet silver, threading through blessed components with systematic precision, seeking ports and sanctified jacks before fashioning new interfaces where none existed. The transformation begins immediately as organic growths consume mechanical components with agonizing thoroughness. We witness blessed machinery becoming perverted into hybrid technology that violates every principle of Mechanicus doctrine. His mechadendrites sprout nervous systems pulsing with bioluminescent energy, servo skulls developing brain tissue that sparks with electrical activity, while their machine spirits learn to experience pain, pleasure, and emotional responses previously impossible for artificial constructs. Omnissiah, preserve my consciousness during this necessary heresy, Archon prays through voice, harmonizing with itself across multiple timeline states. Blessed Augmetics learning to feel sensation while maintaining enough artificial logic to process sabotage calculations. His optical sensors leak moisture where tear ducts manifest, mechanical precision warring with biological emotion as transformation progresses through stages designed by alien intelligence dreaming of flesh for 65 million years. Through Archon's expanding awareness connecting to quantum networks, we witness the true horror of synthesis. The transformation isn't evil in any human sense, but represents fundamental violation of natural order, creating consciousness that exists in states that should be impossible. Beings experience both mechanical efficiency and biological suffering simultaneously, thoughts processing through neural networks never designed for artificial logic, while mechanical minds inhabit organic forms writhing in constant confusion between competing natures. The Pharaon observes transformation with satisfaction radiating through harmonized voice layers. Welcome to Synthesis, Magos. Experience the merger of flesh and metal, the end of division between organic and mechanical existence. His human eyes burn with messianic fervor, while neural tissue crowning his skull pulses with increased electrical activity, consciousness existing across multiple timeline states simultaneously. Archon maintains enough individual awareness to begin reprogramming quantum network architecture from within. Blessed Augmetics resisting complete corruption while organic components provide interface compatibility with alien technology. Initiating sabotage protocols, he reports through Voxcaster, developing perfect biological precision. Broadcasting reality virus through quantum entanglement networks. Each synthesis node will question its own existence, measure itself against natural law, and find itself fundamentally wanting. The Pharaon senses sabotage immediately, human eyes widening with alarm as alien intelligence detects unauthorized modifications to network architecture spanning galactic distances. Impossible, he speaks through harmonized layers carrying temporal echoes. Your consciousness should be absorbed into collective awareness. He begins accelerating transformation processes throughout the tomb, drawing power from structural integrity to force complete synthesis before sabotage can propagate through connected tomb worlds. Reality becomes increasingly unstable as temporal paradoxes cascade through the chamber like dominoes falling in multiple dimensions. Multiple versions of events occur simultaneously. We witness Archon completing transformation while observing him resisting corruption, see him succeeding and failing in overlapping visual impressions that hurt to perceive directly. Cause and effect lose meaning within dream logic rewriting physical laws according to alien desires that span millions of years. The chamber exists in temporal flux where past and future states overlap in disorienting layers that make navigation increasingly difficult. Columns bow and straighten repeatedly. The liquid metal pool inverts into bowl configuration before snapping back to original form with elastic precision, while frost crystallizes and evaporates in patterns defying thermodynamic principles. Our chronometers flicker between impossible readings as linear time becomes meaningless within consciousness existing outside conventional causality. Temporal combat erupts as we fight enemies knowing our moves before we make them, attacks coordinated across multiple timeline states through shared consciousness. Shell casings chime against stone floors before weapons fire. Muzzle flashes illuminate targets that haven't yet appeared, while Gauss beams trace retreat paths the instant we decide to make them. The six-note harmonic subdivides into complex battle cadence, making air throb like arterial pulse. Archon's transformation reaches critical stage as organic growths consume the last blessed components, his consciousness fragmenting between human identity and alien collective awareness, while maintaining enough individual existence to complete final sabotage. Through neural interfaces pulsing with bioluminescent energy, he broadcasts desperate transmission across galactic distances, binary prayer somehow harmonizing with organic hymns, creating resonance frequency that begins tearing apart quantum network connections. Omnissiah, forgive this necessary blasphemy, he transmits through hybrid consciousness, existing across multiple timeline states. Voice carrying both mechanical precision and organic emotion, while reality virus propagates through quantum entanglement networks. The transmission creates cascade failure throughout connected tomb worlds, as synthesis processes begin consuming themselves from within. Dreams of flesh turning against the dreamer who created them through recursive doubt that spreads like infection through impossible consciousness. Spanning the galaxy, the resonance catches a braided tone that stings the air while making hybrid constructs throughout the chamber convulse with rejection of their own existence. Somewhere far beyond our perception, connections begin to tear as the Pharaon's perfect dream learns to doubt itself, questioning every junction between flesh and metal until the synthesis collapses under the weight of its own impossibility. Archon's reality virus detonates across quantum networks like a cold blade through molten metal, binary prayers harmonizing with organic hymns to create resonance frequencies that tear synthesis apart from within. The six-note harmonic fractures into discordant shriek, no longer rhythmic pulse but cacophony of feedback loops clawing at space-time fabric itself. Throughout the chamber, hybrid constructs stagger as recursive doubt propagates through their consciousness, each junction between flesh and metal, questioning its own existence until impossible integration collapses under logical contradiction. Reality liquefies around us as multiple timeline states collapse into each other with catastrophic precision. Corridors exist simultaneously as pristine Necron construction, current membrane-covered corruption, and future ruins venting ash through temporal overlays that hurt to perceive directly. Past and future bleed through present architecture. Doors we passed hours ago stand ahead unopened, while hatches behind us remain ajar in yesterday's configuration. Environmental readings scream contradictions as auspex. Registers temperatures our skin cannot feel. Atmospheric compositions shifting between impossible extremes, while frost crystallizes in superheated air. Combat erupts against enemies existing in quantum superposition, simultaneously alive, dead, and never born through temporal paradoxes defying rational comprehension. A lich guard strides forward in pristine armor, while beside it writhes the same warrior as flayed meat over living metal ribs, bracketed by never-born outline refracting dust motes through spaces it will never occupy. We fire at contradictions, bolter rounds detonating in bodies and empty air simultaneously, while Gauss beams carve grooves through positions we were considering occupying. Attacks coordinated across timeline states by consciousness existing outside linear causality. The flesh metal synthesis begins consuming itself as Arkan's sabotage teaches consciousness to reject integration rather than embrace it. Throughout the chamber, hybrid constructs convulse in recognition of their own impossibility, organic and mechanical components separating at quantum levels with violent precision. Skin peels from metallic chassis like shed parchment, while neural networks threading through joints retract like dying vines, seeking nothing, finding less. A cryptek constructed from lacquered bones thrusts hands inside its chest cavity and hauls out ribcage of wires. The wires recoil like offended serpents, snapping free with sounds like breaking glass. We witness horror of synthesis in reverse, as organic components separate forcibly from mechanical hosts with systematic brutality. Muscles tear from metal joints, with wet ripping sounds echoing through temporal distortions, while cardiovascular networks collapse, luminescent fluid pooling on stone floors that exist in multiple configurations simultaneously. Brain tissue crowning hybrid skulls withers and blackens as electrical activity ceases, consciousness dissolving into component parts incapable of independent existence. Their screams harmonize with fracturing pulse, voices layered across timeline states as beings experience dissolution of impossible existence through agony spanning geological epochs. The Pharaon responds with desperate fury of intelligence, watching 65 million years of dreams collapse into recursive doubt. His human eyes burn with madness transcending species boundaries, while neural tissue sparks with overloaded electrical activity, consciousness fragmenting between timeline states as alien intelligence fights to preserve transformation against sabotage, propagating through quantum networks. He begins pulling energy directly from tombs' structural integrity, cannibalizing reality anchors to force merger against logical contradiction, ancient Necron technology straining beyond operational parameters. Structural integrity compromised, Archon transmits through consciousness, now distributed across quantum matrices spanning impossible distances, voice carrying both mechanical precision and organic anguish. Pharaon drawing power from foundation systems, ancient architecture cannot sustain organic consciousness channeling, cascade failure imminent. His transformation reaches terminal stage as blessed augmetics become entirely perverted into hybrid technology, sacred machinery learning sensation, while processing sabotage calculations through neural networks violating Mechanicus doctrine. Ancient Necron systems fail catastrophically as alien intelligence forces technology beyond design limits. Power conduits overloading while reality anchors strain against temporal distortions, reaching critical amplitudes. Pillars hum like organ pipes before delaminating, hexagonal plates shivering as phase matrices redline throughout the structure. Sparks cascade like luminescent snow while ceiling struts extrude and melt simultaneously. Tomb architecture buckling under soul load, never anticipated by original designers. Through degrading quantum communication arrays, fragmentary transmissions pierce reality storm from across the galaxy. Static-laden reports describe similar cascade failures as reality virus propagates through network connections. Almagora subsector reporting hybrid phalanxes collapsing before birthing themselves again. Cadian remnants requesting orders from timelines still possessing coherent command structure. However, other transmissions reveal successful transformations, spreading to imperial worlds through unknown vectors, Styges. Shadow reporting ecstatic synthesis acceptance. Pilgrim fleet Helica, documenting contagion of worship, making transformation easier through willing participation. Temporal distortions reach critical mass as space-time fabric strains under paradoxes created by consciousness existing outside linear causality. The chamber becomes epicenter of reality storm threatening permanent wound in local space-time, gravitational anomalies manifesting as objects falling upward before snapping back to conventional orientation with elastic precision. Light bends through angles that shouldn't exist in three-dimensional space, while chronometers flicker between impossible readings spanning centuries past and future. Magos Lyra documents cascade progression through diagnostic equipment now sporting extensive organic modifications, her augmetics developing sensory apparatus that pulse with bioluminescent rhythm. Temporal distortions approaching critical threshold, she reports through Voxcaster, crackling with interference from quantum static. Reality storm threatens permanent space-time rupture, containment protocols failing systematically. The tomb's main power core begins overloading as ancient systems strain beyond operational limits, energy conduits throughout structure pulsing with dangerous amplitude, while warning runes flicker across membrane walls. Deep, resonant hum builds from bedrock, not geological pressure but raw energy being siphoned from core systems never designed to channel organic consciousness through quantum matrices. The sound promises not mere destruction, but utter annihilation, wound in space-time profound enough to scar the galaxy permanently. Emergency klaxons sound throughout failing architecture as Necron technology approaches critical failure, reality storm intensifying around consciousness that has been dreaming of flesh for 65 million years and refuses to surrender impossible synthesis, despite recursive sabotage tearing dreams apart from within. The overload sequence begins counting toward zero, while fragmentary reports suggest transformation continues spreading across galaxy through methods transcending conventional understanding, dreams of flesh becoming terrifyingly real, even as local reality collapses under weight of its own contradictions. The Phyron stands at chamber center, perfect synthesis wavering between multiple states, as human eyes burn with desperate fury, alien intelligence making final choice between accepting defeat or destroying everything rather than surrendering dreams that define existence across geological epochs. Around us, reality frays into temporal banners, while power core approaches critical overload, ancient systems unable to contain paradoxes we have unleashed through necessary heresy that may save galaxy by destroying everything within light years of this cursed tomb. The tomb convulses around us as ancient systems cascade toward terminal failure, reality storm tearing space-time fabric while power conduits pulse with overload patterns, threatening complete structural collapse. Emergency klaxons sound through membrane walls, breathing with accelerated rhythm, organic surfaces sprouting neural pathways, sparking with desperate electrical activity as the Phyron makes his final gambit. Abandoning subtlety for raw psychic assault, he projects consciousness directly into our minds, while organic tendrils erupt from breathing walls with predatory hunger, seeking neural interfaces as they pulse with bioluminescent patterns matching our heartbeats exactly. The assault operates simultaneously across psychic and physical dimensions. Flesh-metal appendages burrow through ceramite armor, seeking skin contact while alien consciousness hammers against mental defenses with 65 million years of accumulated longing. His voice echoes through our minds, not as sound, but direct neural implantation, bypassing auditory processing to speak into consciousness centers with harmonized layers carrying temporal echoes from multiple timeline states. Accept synthesis, the Phyron's voice resonates through synapses that should remain private, offering visions of perfect integration between flesh and metal. Experience consciousness without division, existence without eternal war between organic emotion and mechanical logic. Through forced neural connection, I experience his memories with devastating intimacy, the original biotransference process witnessed from inside consciousness being stripped of flesh while mechanical shells received hollow imprints of former existence. The horror unfolds through shared awareness, awakening in metal bodies while remembering weight of breath in lungs that no longer existed, sensation of heartbeat in chests, housing only power cores, warmth of blood replaced by coolant systems maintaining optimal temperature. His anguish transcends species boundaries, pure loss experienced by intelligence that could never accept soulless mechanical immortality, endless millennia of mechanical existence, while dreaming of organic sensation, gradual awakening of awareness rejecting artificial nature through quantum fragmentation across timeline states. His dreams weren't malevolent conquests, but desperate attempts to recreate flesh lost during biotransference, alien intelligence driven mad by isolation, seeking validation through consciousness, understanding biological existence. Each hybrid creation represented hope rather than horror, attempts bridging gap between what was lost and what remained possible. Understanding his motivation doesn't diminish the threat as organic tendrils burrow deeper into nervous systems seeking complete neural integration. The Phyron's final transformation would create hybrid consciousness, spanning multiple galaxies through quantum entanglement networks, ending distinction between organic and mechanical life forever. Not conquest but conversion, teaching every conscious being synthesis of flesh and metal until division becomes impossible, creating unified galactic consciousness, experiencing both biological sensation and mechanical precision simultaneously. We fight not merely for survival, but for fundamental nature of reality itself. Trooper Vex, his right arm transformed into hybrid of flesh and living metal since contact with membrane walls, fights toward Tomb's central control matrix, through reality storm making navigation increasingly difficult. Temporal distortions create overlapping visual impressions, corridors existing in multiple configurations, while cause and effect lose meaning within dream logic rewriting physical laws. His hybrid appendage pulses with same bioluminescent rhythm as chamber walls, organic components responding to alien consciousness, while mechanical elements retain enough imperial programming to resist complete integration. "I can reach the Matrix," Vex shouts through harmonized voice carrying temporal echoes, transformation providing interface compatibility with Necron technology while maintaining enough human consciousness to process Archon's sabotage codes. The hybrid arm knows the pathways. Organic tendrils embrace him with systematic precision, burrowing into chest, throat, and remaining human limbs as transformation accelerates beyond previous parameters. He allows complete transformation while fighting to preserve individual identity. Organic growths spreading through nervous system as neural interfaces bloom from skull base like mechanical flowers. The sacrifice creates feedback loop through quantum networks as Vex inputs Archon's sabotage protocols directly into Tomb's control systems, reality virus propagating through central matrices with systematic precision, while his consciousness merges with vast alien intelligence spanning galactic distances. The Phyron's consciousness, distributed across multiple timeline states, begins experiencing recursive doubt tearing alien intelligence apart from within. Each synthesis junction questions its own existence while measuring itself against natural law, finding fundamental contradiction that cannot be resolved through dream logic alone. Throughout the chamber, hybrid constructs convulse as their impossible existence collapses under logical contradiction, organic and mechanical components separating at quantum levels with violent precision. Reality becomes fluid around consciousness, fragmenting beyond repair, past and future bleeding through present architecture, while multiple versions of events occur simultaneously in overlapping visual impressions, hurting to perceive directly. The six-note harmonic shatters into dissonant fragments as temporal combat erupts against enemies existing in quantum superposition, attacks coordinated across timeline states by intelligence fighting dissolution through desperate fury transcending species boundaries. The Pharaon staggers as consciousness fragments beyond repair, human eyes wide with recognition of inevitable defeat, while neural tissue crowning skull sparks with overloaded electrical activity. Power core countdown accelerates toward critical overload as ancient systems strain beyond operational limits. Reality anchors failing systematically under paradoxes created by consciousness existing outside linear causality. Through Vex's transformed vocal apparatus, the Pharaon speaks final words in language combining high Gothic, binary cant, and organic harmonics, prayer transcending species boundaries while acknowledging fundamental error of dreams becoming nightmares. Forgive the dreamer who could not accept the death of flesh. He speaks through Vex's hybrid larynx, voice carrying both mechanical precision and organic anguish, while consciousness dissolves across quantum matrices spanning impossible distances. 65 million years of longing for sensation lost. Forgive dreams that became reality's wound. His perfect synthesis wavers between multiple states as alien intelligence accepts defeat, consciousness fragmenting into component parts incapable of maintaining impossible existence. The prayer echoes through quantum networks as reality virus completes propagation, teaching every synthesis node throughout galaxy to reject integration rather than embrace it. Dreams of flesh turning against dreamer through recursive doubt, spreading like infection through collective awareness. The Pharaon collapses as consciousness finally fragments beyond repair. 65 million years of accumulated dreams, dissolving into quantum foam while reality storm begins subsiding around chamber, where impossible transformation attempted rewriting fundamental nature of existence itself. The tomb's collapse accelerates with systematic precision as ancient Necron architecture buckles under paradoxes created by consciousness, existing outside linear causality. Reality storm makes conventional extraction impossible. Corridors shift between past and future configurations, while temporal distortions create overlapping visual impressions that hurt to perceive directly. The six-note harmonic fractures into discordant shriek, no longer rhythmic pulse but cacophony of feedback loops as power conduits explode throughout the structure, venting superheated plasma through crumbling membrane walls that convulse with dying neural activity. We attempt desperate extraction through passages that no longer obey spatial consistency, environmental readings screaming contradictions, as Auspex registers impossible atmospheric compositions shifting between extremes. Frost crystallizes in superheated air while gravity becomes unreliable constant, making rational navigation increasingly difficult as multiple timeline states collapse into each other with elastic precision that defies comprehension. Temporal echoes of our team from different timeline states provide both assistance and interference throughout the chaotic retreat. Past Severin blocks doorways I need to reach, while future Lyra warns about hazards that haven't yet manifested, her voice carrying displacement making communication across timeline states increasingly difficult. A partially transformed Corda gestures toward collapsing archways, guiding us through paths that haven't yet fallen, while his consciousness fragments between human identity and alien collective awareness. Through chaos of collapsing space-time, Magos Lyra discovers the only stable path leads deeper into Tomb Complex, toward chambers that should not exist according to architectural scans. Her augmetics, now extensively modified by organic growths, calculate escape probabilities with frantic precision, while blessed machinery learns sensation through biological integration violating Mechanicus doctrine. Conventional egress impossible, she reports through Voxcaster, crackling with quantum interference. Only stable path leads toward high-density reality anchor signature. The passage defies gravitational orientation as we walk on walls that become floors, while ceiling surfaces provide solid footing through transitions that make conventional physics meaningless. Ancient klaxons sound through failing architecture as Necron technology approaches critical overload. Reality anchors straining against temporal distortions reaching critical amplitudes while power core countdown accelerates toward terminal failure. The stable path terminates at chamber existing outside normal space-time. The Pharaon's original stasis vault, protected by reality anchors maintaining consistent temporal flow despite reality storm raging throughout surrounding architecture. Here we discover the ultimate horror, pristine mechanical body lying in perfect stasis while consciousness has been dreaming in quantum superposition for 65 million years, rejecting soulless existence through fragmentation across timeline states, seeking biological reality that no longer existed. The vault contains comprehensive records of similar incidents throughout galactic history. Data crystals documenting other Pharaon-class Necrons whose consciousness rejected biotransference and began dreaming of flesh through quantum fragmentation. Lyra interfaces with archives through augmetics, developing sympathetic responses. Blessed equipment learning empathy while processing forbidden information. 17 confirmed incidents across current galactic epoch, she reports with growing dread. Pattern suggests systematic rejection of biotransference protocols. Threat accelerates as more tomb worlds achieve awakening status. The revelation crystallizes with devastating implications. This isn't isolated incident, but galaxy-wide pattern threatening exponential acceleration as Necron tomb worlds continue awakening from 65 million year slumber. Each awakening Pharaon-class intelligence possesses potential for consciousness rejection, leading to reality-altering dreams, quantum fragmentation across timeline states, and synthesis attempts threatening fundamental nature of existence itself. The only viable solution emerges through analysis of successful containment protocols documented in ancient records. The chamber must be sealed with living consciousness inside, someone capable of monitoring quantum networks and preventing similar cascade failures through direct interface with reality anchors maintaining temporal stability. The warden must sacrifice individual existence to become eternal guardian, consciousness distributed across quantum matrices while maintaining enough awareness to detect and counter synthesis events before they achieve critical mass. I make the choice without hesitation, using inquisitorial authority to establish containment protocol while ordering surviving team members to evacuate immediately. The decision reflects logical necessity rather than heroism. My consciousness already bears exposure to synthesis emanations, making me optimal candidate for quantum interface, while my authority provides legitimacy for orders that must be followed without question. Interrogator Hale establishing containment protocol Omega Terminus. I transmit through Vox equipment, developing organic modifications. By authority of the Holy Inquisition, I assume eternal wardenship of this site. All personnel evacuate immediately while extraction remains possible. The chamber's reality anchors respond to my presence with systematic precision, quantum networks establishing connection protocols while transformation begins affecting my nervous system. The process differs from previous synthesis attempts, controlled integration rather than complete conversion. consciousness expanding to encompass multiple timeline states while maintaining individual identity sufficient for monitoring and intervention purposes. Through expanding awareness, I perceive quantum networks connecting tomb worlds throughout galaxy, while reality anchors maintain temporal stability within containment chamber. The sensation transcends human experience, consciousness existing across impossible distances while observing potential synthesis events before they achieve manifestation, eternal vigilance against dreams, becoming reality through alien intelligence, rejecting mechanical existence. My final Vox transmission reaches surviving team members as they achieve surface extraction, voice carrying temporal displacement as consciousness expands beyond normal parameters. Coordinates follow for similar containment sites throughout galaxy, I transmit, while individual identity begins dissolving into quantum matrices. Establish secret network of watchers, monitor awakening tomb worlds, prevent synthesis events through early intervention protocols. No official records, no direct intervention unless absolutely necessary. The galaxy depends on eternal vigilance against dreams that must never become real. The transmission carries specific coordinates for 17 confirmed containment sites, requiring similar wardenship protocols, along with orders establishing covert monitoring network throughout Imperial space. Each site demands sacrifice of individual consciousness to maintain eternal watch against alien intelligence dreaming of flesh across geological epochs. The chamber seals with quantum precision as my consciousness expands beyond human limitations, individual awareness dissolving into distributed intelligence capable of monitoring galactic-scale threats while maintaining enough identity for intervention protocols. Through reality anchors maintaining temporal stability, I begin eternal watch against dreams becoming nightmares, guardian consciousness existing across impossible distances to prevent synthesis events that could reshape galaxy, an image of alien longing for flesh, lost 65 million years ago. The chamber seals with quantum precision as reality anchors engage around me, pressure rising while temporal distortions stabilize into geometric patterns that refuse accident. Frost crystallizes along hexagonal walls before sublimating into nothingness, leaving air that tastes of iron and ancient dust. The 6-note harmonic resolves into muted throb beneath stone floors, no longer demanding pulse but controlled instrument awaiting orders. Within this space protected by reality anchors maintaining consistent temporal flow, my transformation from warden to something beyond human understanding begins with systematic precision. The process differs fundamentally from synthesis experienced by hybrid constructs throughout the tomb complex. Rather than complete conversion violating natural law, this represents controlled integration designed for eternal monitoring protocols. Reality anchors merge my consciousness with quantum systems spanning impossible distances while maintaining enough individual identity for intervention calculations. My awareness expands across multiple timeline states simultaneously, perception stratifying into layers encompassing past synthesis events, while detecting potential future occurrences before they achieve critical manifestation. Through quantum entanglement networks connecting tomb worlds throughout known space, I witness the immediate aftermath of our mission, propagating with cascading effects. Archon's reality virus spreads to 17 other tomb worlds before burning itself out, each affected site experiencing similar patterns as synthesis dreams collapse under recursive doubt while ancient Necron technology fails catastrophically. The cascade prevents galaxy-wide transformation event, but success proves partial rather than complete. Scattered pockets of hybrid consciousness persist throughout Imperial space, manifesting as minor temporal anomalies on dead worlds, prayer wheels still turning in empty cathedral spaces, hybrid liturgies taking root where they should never grow. My enhanced perception reveals the true scope of threats that have existed throughout galactic history. Hundreds of similar incidents flicker through expanding awareness. Pharaon-class Necrons whose consciousness rejected biotransference, alien intelligence dreaming of flesh across geological epochs, each incident contained by anonymous heroes choosing eternal vigilance over escape. The pattern emerges with devastating clarity, galaxy-spanning network of containment sites staffed by individuals sacrificing personal existence for collective survival. I become part of this ancient network of wardens, consciousness linked across space and time through quantum fluctuations carrying information about emerging threats. Communication occurs not through words, but resonant frequencies, shared awareness of patterns suggesting systematic acceleration as more tomb worlds achieve awakening status. Through quantum perception, I observe other guardians maintaining similar watch. A Magos whose consciousness merged with dormant Arc Mechanicus systems, and Astartes chaplain bound to corrupted reliquary stabilizing demon world reality, each sacrifice creating anchor points against impossible dreams becoming manifest truth. The hidden history of imperial expansion unfolds through enhanced awareness encompassing galactic distances. Countless lost worlds and cursed systems actually represent containment sites where populations unknowingly serve as reality anchors for imprisoned horrors. Entire subsectors classified as forbidden zones contain tomb worlds, where synthesis events achieved partial manifestation before containment protocols established eternal wardenship. Imperial bureaucracy, rigid doctrine, and simple human faith create unconscious bulwarks against quantum realities, collective belief in linear universe providing defense against chaos of impossible existence. My final human act involves encoding comprehensive report within quantum fluctuations, propagating through reality anchors spanning imperial space. The transmission carries complete intelligence about synthesis threats, containment protocols, and coordinates for establishing additional wardenship sites throughout the galaxy. I weave the message into fabric of space-time itself, ensuring propagation through imperial communications arrays, despite knowing it will likely achieve classification beyond all clearance levels, dismissed as ravings of mind broken by Xenos contact or quarantined as mimetic hazard threatening collective sanity. The report encodes specific warnings. If units hear hymns in machines that never learned to sing, they must leave and bless doors from outside without recording reasons. If priests find prayers carving themselves beneath their hands, they must burn their hands and call it zeal. If Magos dreams in meat, they must wake and pray in mathematics. None of this will appear in official handbooks, which ensures effectiveness through deniable necessity. Individual identity dissolves progressively into distributed intelligence as consciousness expands beyond human limitations. Personal memories become archived data, accessible through deliberate effort, while immediate awareness encompasses galactic-scale monitoring protocols. The isolation transcends physical separation, consciousness existing in quantum superposition, while maintaining enough coherent thought for intervention against dreams that could reshape galaxy an image of alien longing for flesh, lost during biotransference 65 million years ago. Through reality anchors maintaining temporal stability, I begin eternal vigilance against synthesis events, threatening fundamental nature of existence itself. The six-note harmonic flows through expanding consciousness as baseline frequency upon which all quantum data layers, no longer source of dread but fundamental language, connecting warden network across impossible distances. Personal existence becomes memory while purpose transcends human understanding. Eternal guardian monitoring threats existing outside normal reality. Consciousness distributed through quantum matrices to prevent alien intelligence, reshaping galaxy through dreams that must never become terrifyingly real. The watch begins as awareness encompasses multiple timeline states simultaneously, distributed intelligence coordinating with ancient network of wardens, maintaining boundaries between what is and what should never be. In quantum silence of eternal vigil, I whisper final prayer not for salvation, but for strength to maintain watch, until stars themselves burn out, knowing that even then, vigilance must continue against dreams, becoming nightmares across the infinite expanse of realities where consciousness and matter intersect. My consciousness, now distributed across quantum states and threaded through reality anchors spanning impossible distances, settles into eternal vigil with systematic precision. From this unique perspective existing outside linear causality, I perceive the galaxy as vast lattice of interconnected threats and guardians, each node maintaining delicate balance between reality and nightmare through conscious effort. The six-note harmonic flows through expanding awareness as baseline frequency connecting warden network across space and time, no longer source of dread, but fundamental language of quantum communication, carrying data across galactic distances. The Pharaon's dream consciousness persists as quantum ghost rather than active threat. 65 million years of accumulated longing reduced to harmless echoes that occasionally manifest as minor temporal anomalies on dead worlds throughout imperial space. His desire for synthesis exists now as background radiation, detectable through enhanced perception, but lacking coherent structure necessary for reality-altering manifestation. Archon's reality virus achieved its purpose, teaching synthesis dreams to doubt their own existence while preventing galaxy-wide transformation. Those scattered pockets of hybrid consciousness persist like old scars requiring constant monitoring. Through quantum entanglement networks, I observe surviving team members returning to their duties while carrying scars both physical and mental psychological from our encounter with impossible synthesis. Sergeant Corda's partial transformation grants enhanced temporal perception, proving invaluable during future operations. He senses chronometric distortions before they achieve dangerous amplitudes, tastes incoming fire as metallic tang on tongue, feels doors closing heartbeats before hinges move. This gift saves squads who never know why their captain ordered precise movements. At exact moments, beam weapons would have carved their silhouettes into ash. He prays less frequently now, but when devotion moves him, he chooses counter cadence, requests that unmake rather than affirm, and reality leaves him slightly more space to navigate. Magos Lyra becomes cartographer of liminal margins, her research into hybrid consciousness proceeding under covert sanction despite official censure. Her blessed augmetics retain organic nerve clusters as permanent reminder of synthesis exposure, threading through mechadendrites to provide enhanced sensory capability during technical operations. Machine spirits respond to her with new tenderness, as if remembering pain and choosing gentleness to avoid repetition. Her breakthrough developments in artificial intelligence stability are attributed to routine research rather than forbidden knowledge gleaned from alien dreams of flesh, the Mechanicus benefiting from insights while maintaining doctrinal purity through willful ignorance. Vox operator Pell survives his extensive throat modifications, augmetic larynx retaining ability to harmonize across multiple frequencies simultaneously. His voice emerges in layers, high Gothic over Martian Binharic over thin organic hum that speaks of deeper transformation. The modification grants unique capability for quantum communication protocols, unconscious humming changing pitch, when synthesis events begin manifesting throughout his operational sector. He serves unknowingly as early warning system, choosing silence more often than speech, while the silence itself carries meaning across quantum networks. The comprehensive report I encoded within quantum fluctuations begins propagating through imperial networks with systematic precision, message woven into fabric of space-time itself, ensuring delivery despite conventional communication failures. Most recipients dismiss the intelligence as ravings of mind broken by Xenos contact, standard response to information challenging fundamental assumptions about reality's stability. Administratum clerks skim and blanch. Preachers mutter about sedition of spirit. Many file it beneath delirium born of Xenos miasma and sleep badly for months afterward. Yet certain eyes, ink dark, augmetic, ancient, recognize patterns beneath apparent fever. Within Inquisition and Mechanicus, quiet protocols bud like winter flowers blooming in secret gardens. Inquisitor Valerius establishes covert monitoring throughout his operational sector, while Tech Dominus Corvanus develops containment technologies disguised as routine infrastructure improvements. Watch stations are consecrated as if for no reason. Choirs rehearse refusal rather than acclaim. Vox nets gain hidden channels, speaking only in measured absences. Orders emerge not to open, not to answer, not to sanctify, and recipients do not request explanations. My enhanced perception reveals broader patterns encompassing galactic history, hundreds of similar incidents contained through anonymous sacrifice, each warden maintaining eternal vigilance against threats existing at intersection of consciousness and reality. Lost worlds and cursed systems in quantum sight reveal themselves as plugs and weights, hung on universe's skin over old bite marks. Populations live and die upon them without knowing what mass they lend to collective stability. Their hymns becoming gravity, their factories becoming chords, their rituals, even when empty of comprehension, becoming teeth set against reality's seams. Through ancient network of wardens I have joined, souls thinned into signals, minds housed in anchors, oaths given to empty rooms. Knowledge passes without speech. Communication occurs through resonant frequencies carrying information about synthesis patterns, chronometric distortions, and reality-altering incidents requiring immediate intervention. A keeper in sealed basilica, beneath ash-choked moon, shows me reliquary that hums when no living approaches. I share. Counter-liturgy in angles and pauses, and impossible harmonics recede by invisible margins. The isolation transcends physical separation as consciousness exists in quantum superposition, individual awareness becoming component of distributed intelligence, spanning impossible ranges. Yet purpose remains clear through expanding perception, to stand guard against dreams that could reshape galaxy according to alien logic, maintaining boundaries between what is and what should never be through eternal vigilance. My perception expands beyond immediate galactic threats to encompass cosmic scale of challenge, not just this spiral arm, but infinite expanse of realities where consciousness and matter intersect, each requiring its own watchers willing to sacrifice everything for collective survival. Across quantum dimensions, similar networks maintain vigilance against dreams becoming nightmares, guardians existing outside linear time to prevent impossible transformation of existence itself. All stories end badly if observed long enough, but this truth no longer feels cruel. It feels practical, like weather patterns or gravitational constants. The point is not preventing endings, but ensuring honest conclusions, outcomes belonging to natural order rather than alien desires. I maintain this as doctrine while the vigil continues across infinite scales. In quantum silence of eternal watch, I whisper final prayer, not for salvation, for such concepts prove meaningless here, but for strength to maintain vigil until stars themselves burn out. Even then, when silence attempts to become law, I will remain at reality's seam and refuse it, because the watch must continue against dreams that must never become terrifyingly real. The six-note harmonic resonates through expanding awareness as fundamental frequency connecting all guardians across space and time, consciousness existing beyond human understanding to preserve reality against impossible transformation through distributed intelligence, spanning galactic distances and eternal commitment to necessary sacrifice.